Hey there, folks. Are you passionate about democracy and concerned about the rise of authoritarianism? I'm Joanne, Kevin's wife, and I've seen him give everything to this work. That's why Coffee with Democrats matters, lifting up stories, building connections, and keeping democracy strong. So tune in every Tuesday at 7 p.m. for 30 minutes of conversation with elected officials, candidates, and Democratic influencers, only on Coffee with Democrats. So join me in welcoming the Executive Director and host of Coffee with Democrats, my husband, Kevin Dawson.
Well, I'll tell you what, that always gets to me. And folks, thank you for joining us tonight on Coffee with Democrats. We've got a special guest on here tonight. We've got Chris Fowler. He's working real hard to be candidate for House District 91. So let me pull him up here and we'll get started together. So good evening and welcome to Coffee with Democrats, Chris. This is the first time you've ever been on Coffee with Democrats, isn't it?
Yeah. Hi, Kevin. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me on.
Well, it's a pleasure. You know, we've gotten to know each other over the course of the last, I'm guessing close to a year now.
Yeah, about eight months, I guess it would be.
Right.
Yeah.
So, oh boy, we're having fun with your phone now, aren't we?
Oh, did it just do that? Let me.
That's
no problem. Is that better for your audience?
Yeah, let's keep it there for a little bit. If it falls again, we'll keep flipping over until we get it right. But
no problem. I know just what to do. So
good. Well, I'm glad to have you on Coffee with Democrats again. You've been we've been kind of hanging out with each other, hanging in the right crowds with each other, and you've got a lot of real good support. One of your campaign staffers is Loretta Autry. I love her to death. She is one of the nicest, greatest people in this entire state of Oklahoma, and I'm just thrilled to death that she's working on your campaign.
Yeah, same here. Loretta's taught me so much, including, taking me out on my very first door knocks. And, she continues to, build a lot of community here. We have a coffee chat going, and she's actually going to be setting up a new one out in Moore soon. One really useful thing Loretta has passed on to me is she made a QR code that takes you to the Oklahoma voter portal and gets people registered to vote. So I'm already making use of that out here when I'm meeting people in our community.
Oh, that's awesome. And I appreciate her doing that. We need to follow her lead. If she's got a QR code, I'll reach out to her and ask her to share that QR code with me, because we need to do the same thing. The one thing that we're working on in Cleveland County is trying to develop our precincts so that we're building our precincts. And by building those precincts, we need to be able to get to those people who are maybe disenfranchised Republicans, independents, people who have never voted before, and let's encourage them to get out and become a Democrat and vote for their Democratic candidates, because the state of affairs in Oklahoma is some of the worst outcomes in the entire United States when it comes to education, financial stress, healthcare. All of those things are issues that I know that you're going to talk about. So, I kind of boil this whole 30-minute show down to two things. And number one is, why are you running for House District 91? And the other question is, why should people vote for you? So we'll start with the first question and let you run with it. Why are you running? What was your inspiration?
Well, you kind of set me up really well right there. Last year, I retired from the Air Force after 20 years and began my educational break. I finished my master's degree, and I'm actually still a computer science student today. My original plan was to slide into another aspect of service, whether it be for the city, the state, or federal service. But given the state of things, not just federally, but here in the state of Oklahoma, I felt that I really had to get involved in a more direct way. And so I started becoming more aware of the political scene around here. I wanted to know who I can speak to about, for example, the excesses of Ryan Walters, right? This was very big on my mind, with two young girls. I've got a third grader and a kindergartner. They've got a long way to go in public education here. And I was that kind of parent who would, every time I see a Ryan Walters email politicizing our education or attacking our teachers, I would, make that call or write that letter to my district superintendent or my principal, and not in an adversarial way because I wanted to support them. But it got to the point where I asked, hey, how can I actually support you all in this as a parent? And I remember they told me, well, you got to put pressure on your elected officials. And when I tried doing that, they didn't give me the time of day. And so that to me isn't representation. That's not very good representation. And so that's the drive behind me running every day. And I know I can do it because, when I was at the tail end of my career, I spent many years as a senior enlisted leader in my units. And if you think about the job of a senior enlisted leader, it's spending a lot of time going out into your unit, going to where your people are, building relationships with them, then finding out what's going on in their families' lives, their lives, and when the time is necessary, you follow up and follow through with something actionable that will improve their lives. And to me, when I started taking stock of what I could do here locally, becoming a state representative just seems like a logical fit for that, because it sounds like the very same set of duties fundamentally, except instead of a squadron of 240 airmen, it's just a bit of a math problem. But I get to do what I love, which is getting out into the community, talking with our people, getting to know them, and getting to know what's on people's minds and how we can move things forward for them.
Isn't it refreshing? You were talking about Ryan Walters, and we know that he is no longer in place, but Lyndall Fields, the replacement for him, again, he was appointed by Governor Stitt. I would have to say that of every single thing that Kevin Stitt has done throughout his entire tenure, the last 10 years, has been a complete failure, except this one right here. I really think that Lyndall Fields is trying his best to do his best as a superintendent of public instructions, and you brought that up. I digress. You don't need to really carry on with that, but hey, I'm gonna let you take just a minute here. I'm gonna put you on hold for a little bit, let you drop off, see if you can reset your connection, and I'm going to go ahead and bring up your campaign, and we'll talk about that.
Can you see me, Kevin?
I can, but I'm getting some audio mess. It's some audio. It's kind of clicking in and out. So bear with me just a little bit. I'm gonna kind of highlight this one even more. So I want people to see this. This is the website for Chris Fowler. And folks, don't get this Chris Fowler mixed up with the Chris Fowler from ABC news sources. This Chris Fowler is the real deal. That other one is an imposter that goes on and talks about football all the time. Chris Fowler is going to talk about things that impact your life on a day-to-day basis. And I wanted to bring up this picture of his family. And this is the reason why he was talking earlier about his education and the two girls that he has. And he wants to make sure that they get the most powerful and meaningful education for his family. And then I'm going to move down here just a little bit to on his website to show you a couple of things. This is, his landing zone on his website. He's a veteran leader for Oklahoma House District 91. And then one of the most important things that I need for everybody to do on that's watching this, and again, I appreciate everybody who's coming on and watching Coffee with Democrats. But let's go to this donate page, and let's go ahead and really pull this in, because this is the place where you get to put your credit card and all of the information that you need in order to make your donation. And you don't have to start at $10 if you just want to start at $1 or $5, or in my case, I like to use Starbucks as an example. If you go to Starbucks, use that to go to his page, and let's help him by buying him a Starbucks in the form of a donation. So Starbucks latte grande or whatever it is going to be close to $15. So you can put that into this field right here, put in 15, and then that will show up and be able to make that donation. So let me get back over here to StreamYard and pull Chris back up, and let's see how things are going here with his connection. All right, how's that looking now?
I'm good. Are you good?
Yeah, it's looking really good. So I appreciate you bearing with us just a little bit. Hey, Chris, I'm going to tell you this. With your computer science background, you know exactly what I'm talking about. When computers work good, they are absolutely phenomenal. But when they mess up, it makes life absolutely miserable. And it seems like these technical bugs have been hitting us pretty good lately. And I think it just has to do with making sure that we've got real good, solid connections every time. And so anyway, back to you. I've really talked up your webpage, but let's talk about you and let you finish talking about why you were running for, why you decided to run for House District 91.
Yeah, well, as I said, to me, the essence of representation is that you do know your people and that you are visible to your people, that your people know who you are and what you can do for them. And so that's why it's so important for me that we get out and I'm in the community. I'm trying to be as visible as possible, but I want to have those conversations with people, the real ones, knowing about how is their life out here in Southwest Oklahoma City, what's on their minds, what are they talking about, at the dinner table, yes, with their coworkers, and what are they worried about with their families. And so that's the substance of my campaign. It is massively in person. It is very personal. I go to where everyone is, starting with their doors, yes, but then we've also had a good presence at the Lunar Festival recently here in September, which if you haven't been, I'd recommend coming out here to Southwest Oklahoma City. It's a Vietnamese festival, and this year it actually expanded to 2 days. And so we had a booth there, and we also had some other great Democratic candidates, Mitch Jacob, Jeff Pixley, and Troy Green show up as well. Again, just to show that they're listening to this corner of Southwest OKC. And that's not something we had, last year or the year before in terms of, an actual candidate coming out and being willing to listen and learn from the people. So I'm really encouraged by that, what we're seeing on the political side, but I'm also encouraged by just hearing not only the stories, but seeing like how receptive everybody is. As a natural introvert, believe it or not, the thought of going and knocking all these doors, initially it was kind of a scary thing. But when you go out there and you get in person and you're offline and you're not hiding behind a screen, people respond very positively to that, And
it's so refreshing to see, you're talking about being an introvert, but there's nothing more powerful than you being able to get your face in front of as many people as you can. And you're doing an outstanding job of that. And it shows. I came to your campaign rollout that you had. And let me just say to the folks that are out there watching this, his rollout was absolutely phenomenal. That was an absolute packed house that day. It was absolutely wonderful to see all of the people who showed up, including people who are currently in office. And that's the thing that I really think is so powerful that helps a candidate like yourself, is when you have so many electeds that show up and show support and do everything they can for your campaign. That means a lot.
Absolutely. And I was actually floored by that response too. Nothing could be more encouraging to see that, not only from elected officials, but from activists, from people in the party, from people like you, Kevin, and from people from the community. That was the last category. Is perhaps the most the dropped out for a second.
Yeah, it's okay. It's just glitched for a minute, but
Okay.
I want you to keep right on going.
Okay.
We're going to power through this.
Yeah. Okay, I'm back. So as I was saying, at that kickoff, you mentioned all those different categories of people, right? I think that's so important because one thing, heck, going back to my military career, when you show up to a new unit, right, you're the new guy. You might think that you were like hot stuff before, but nobody else knows that, right?
Right.
And so the first thing you got to do is be there for people.
Yes.
That's the approach I took for this campaign. Is I wanted to plug in and help other people, including other candidates who were running out in Tulsa at the time. So I would volunteer for different events. I would volunteer to help them. Later on, I helped people, trying to build precincts up, like you were saying. I became a precinct officer, just trying to engage voters, trying to get people out to the polls, right? And get them the information they need. And so when you take it in steps like this, and when you follow through, I think that people really respond to that. And these relationships today are what will help us reach out to voters tomorrow.
It's glitching on us, and we've lost your audio there, Chris. So I'm going to drop this down for just a minute. We're going to try to give Chris a couple more minutes to try to get everything reset, get his connection back involved. And Chris, if you need to, you can go ahead and drop the link, shut it completely off, and then just restart it. And then as soon as you come back on, we'll start back in with the second part of our question. But until then, I'm going to go ahead and add back to the stage the website, because I want to talk more about this website. Again, we've got the share tab that's up here where you can go and you can give donations. But I'm going to go back one other one. I want to talk about the donation page and talk about how you can vote. He's got these links that are right here on the front page. So like Chris was talking, he is a retired United States Air Force airman of 20 years. He lives in House District 91. The part that really floored me when I read through his biography is the fact that he deployed so many times to so many hot spots in combat zones throughout the entire world. And when he gets back on here, we're going to talk about that. But folks, this is a senior airman who has spent a very long time perfecting his skills and mastery to be, working in some of the most sophisticated electronics in the world. So I'm going to bring him back onto the stage here, and we're going to talk a little bit more about why people should support your campaign, Chris, and why people should vote for you.
Hi, Kevin. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can't quite hear anything right now.
Okay. See if that works any better. I just sent you a private chat there, so if you can read that, you might be able to keep right on going, Chris. All right, let's try it again.
All right, can you hear me now, Kevin?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, sorry about that. I just had to exit the browser completely.
Yeah, that happens. So I'm glad you're back.
So where were we?
So let's talk about why people should vote for you.
Well, it goes back to representation. For me, I never felt like I was being heard. Um, and still today, sometimes I don't feel like my elected leaders ever get back to me. The ones
Right.
that I do appreciate of any party are the ones who do tell me. I'll give you one example. My state senator, a Republican, I contacted his office on Monday, and his staffer immediately got back to me. A vote was coming up on that Friday, and on Thursday, she messaged me again just to let me know how the senator intended to vote. And finally, when it didn't go as I wanted to on Friday, she called me back because he asked her to. And, in the interest of transparency, he just wanted me to know why that was. And I actually very much respected that.
Right.
And it's those kinds of models of responsive representation, that I want to uphold. It's something that I did as well. Again, going back in my military career, when I would follow up with my people, I would always be there for them. And my ethos at the time was, if you take care of the people, they'll take care of the mission. And that's what I believe is still true here. If you take care of Oklahomans, if you end the politicization of schools and you allow educators to thrive and you give them the support that they need and the resources that they need and the pay that they deserve, you're going to be able, you don't need to worry about too much else, right? Because they're going to be taking care of their jobs. They're professionals. And so that's what we've kind of lost sight of over here in Oklahoma. That, as well as, the potentially up to 174,000 Oklahomans who may be losing their sooner care next year. Some of that is due to the federal legislation as well as funds drying up, but this state needs people looking forward, ready to plan and ready to be there to make sure that Oklahomans are supported. Because once again, we don't need to tell people how to live their lives. We don't need to dictate to them every, what they can and cannot do. But if we put those support structures in place for them so that they and their families can thrive, then I think that that is the role that we need to take, in the state as legislators.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what are the things that you were really going to push for besides education that you want people to know about?
Well, yes. When I've been talking to people, the top 5 issues are education, 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 followed
Yeah.
by, sooner care, as well as not just sooner care, but healthcare broadly. Costs are out of control. And our legislature has taken some good steps recently when it comes to drug price transparency. We just need to keep making those kinds of steps. Not only that, but there is sorry about that. Um, the cost of living.
Yeah.
Even in my district, which is generally doing, relatively well. If you are trying to rent a home or you're trying to rent an apartment, you might be paying, on average, in our district, about $1,400 a month, and we're in a state that still has a 7.25 minimum wage. I'm trying to make sure that all voters, whether they say that they're going to be supporting me or not, are at least aware of, the state question next year in June that proposes to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour and then tie it to the cost of living. I want to support and be an advocate for those kinds of measures and, keep advancing it forward, because minimum wage, that would be a good big step.
Right.
But it's not the only one. So we need to continue uplifting families on the lower end of the economic scale, but also empowering, those who want to take steps to be entrepreneurs to do so. And our state keeps failing at that because we often don't get the big investors, despite our best efforts. When the state tried to court Tesla, they passed on us. When they tried to court Panasonic, they passed. VW, the same. And it's because we don't invest in our infrastructure. We don't have a good economic, physical, or energy infrastructure that makes them want to stay here. And they don't want to tell their employees that they're going to be living in a state that has 50th in education and is really far behind when it comes to medical care either.
Right. Right. And those are some powerful things for people to understand and to know about, what why to support you in your campaign. So folks, we've had a real good conversation. I apologize for some of the technical glitches. I'm going to say they were on my side, but irregardless, it doesn't matter because we're getting into this and we've got more meat and potatoes to talk about at another time. And we're going to invite Chris to come back another time and talk to us more in detail. But thank you for coming on Coffee with Democrats. I hope this experience didn't scare you away. And we're going to continue to perfect this and make it easier and better for more people to be able to get on as well. And speaking of more people coming on, we've got a couple of things coming up. We've got next week, we've got a real good friend of Chris, another Chris May, who's running for, I don't remember the House district, what is it, 90 or 100, something like that?
I believe it's 20.
20. Boy, I was way off. It's
That's okay.
down in the Noble and Newcastle area. It's the southern part of Cleveland County, the northern part of McLean County. And Chris is going to come and talk. He's a brand new first-time candidate as well. And then the week after that, we've got Forrest Bennett, who is a legislator here in Oklahoma City, the south part, which I think your district neighbors his maybe, or it comes close anyway.
It does come close.
Yeah. So Forrest Bennett's going to be able to come on. He's going to talk about some of the legislation that he's pushed and really worked hard. And then the 11th of October, 11/11, we've got the state chair for the state of Florida, Nikki Fried's going to come on. We've got a surprise guest that we're working on for the week before that. So we're really pulling things together with this iteration of Coffee with Democrats. And Chris, thanks for coming on with Coffee with Democrats. Sure enjoyed this opportunity to talk with you and get to know you a little bit. And we're going to do this again. We're going to do a part 2 on this because we've got to give you an opportunity to get back and get on here, and we can get beyond those technical glitches. So we'll make those plans.
Looking forward to it, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you very much, folks. Again, thank you for coming on Coffee with Democrats. Until next week, 7 p.m. every Tuesday night, we're going to be doing this activity, and we're going to do this as much as we can clear through the election 12 months from now. So please stand by or stay with us and tune in every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Thanks for coming on Coffee with Democrats again, Chris. And folks, until the next time, please be safe. This segment of Coffee with Democrats is brought to you by Steve Holcomb, attorney at law. With family ties to Oklahoma and the legal field that goes back as far as the early 1900s, Steve Holcomb is a well-known and respected attorney at law in Pawhuska, Oklahoma. You can trust Steve Holcomb, attorney at law, with your legal needs. For generations encompassing over 100 years, the Holcomb family name has practiced law and served the cattlemen of Oklahoma. From Marion Holcomb, Steve's great-grandfather, who became a judge among the lands of the Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes in southwest Oklahoma in the early 1900s, who then moved to Pawhuska to practice law, to his grandfather, Thad Holcomb Sr., and his father, Lee Holcomb, who both served as presidents of the Osage County Cattlemen's Association. The Holcomb name has been and still is the trusted name for Oklahomans. As an enthusiastic supporter of Coffee with Democrats, who promotes the Oklahoma standard of service, honor, and kindness, Steve Holcomb is the attorney we recommend going to when you have general practice legal needs. Call 918-287-8762. That's 918-287-8762 to schedule a consultation. Initial consultations may be provided free of charge, or go to holcomb.legal for more information.